Flashback.
And CNN can now project that Barack Obama, 47 years old, will become the president-elect of the United States. We project he now has enough electoral votes, more than 270, more than enough to become the 44th president of the United States. This little-known U.S. senator only a few years ago, seemingly coming out of nowhere, delivering the Democratic Convention keynote address back at the convention in 2004, all of a sudden taking off, becoming a United States senator from Illinois, and now he will be the first African-American president of the United States.
In churches, in bars, on the streets, Americans have been celebrating this great landmark in the long struggle for civil rights. In Chicago, the veteran black leader Jesse Jackson broke down in tears. In Atlanta, from the pulpit of Martin Luther King's old church, its pastor declared, "Tonight, we have seized the promise of America."
It's a great country. It's a great country, and I hope he's a great president.
David?
Yeah, Anderson, I went back to look at the last speech that Martin Luther King gave back in 1968. It was a day before he died, but he was assassinated. And he said, "I just want to do God's will." And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.
Last night, I went to Howard University, here on the outskirts of Washington, D.C., the foremost African-American college, here to share the moment of Obama's victory with its students.
Obama is both an emblem and a brand. They are of the post-civil rights, post-voting rights age.
Seems to me for an awful lot of people in this country, especially for African Americans, and Barack Obama said he's part of the Joshua generation, and Martin Luther King was our Moses.
They knew their man would do it and were already talking about it long before the maths had caught up with their emotions.
He represents change, hope, progress.
When Obama's victory moment finally came, none of us knew how it would consume their passions.
The first time ever anywhere.
You criticized Obama.
Yes.
On a number of occasions.
Yes.
Now, I don't think you could deny that having a black president is inspirational for black kids all around the world, not just America, to say, wow, someone who looks like us can have the highest job in the land, if not the world, when at one point we weren't even considered humans. People didn't even think we could read. You know, we were bred like cattle, you know, in terms to try to create the biggest slaves and so forth. To go from that to actually say, here's someone who actually did a job and even got reelected. You can't say that's not a role model.
I would say he's not a role model.
First time ever anywhere that.
A role model is someone whom you would like other African-American boys to aspire to be. When you look at President Barack Obama's political behavior in the White House towards African-Americans, I cannot, in good conscience, want any African-American boy to emulate the neglect that their president has shown for African-Americans.
Après tout, il a peut-être fait 8 ans de guerre, mais il l'a toujours fait en étant cool et avec le sourire. Un président simple qui aimait jouer au basket avec les animateurs télé et qui ratait jamais le lancement de la chasse aux œufs de Pâques. Ah, un président jeune et dynamique comme on les aime.
Depuis quelques mois, la congrégation Atlas, située en plein cœur d'Harlem, n'a plus peur d'afficher ses opinions. Obama est le diable et a utilisé le vote noir pour servir ses maîtres de Wall Street. Une opinion qui a quand même fait perdre au pasteur Manning bon nombre de ses fidèles. Dans le légendaire quartier noir de New York, ne pas soutenir le président américain était presque impensable.
Je voulais montrer à la communauté noire, parce que nous sommes ici à Harlem, que nous pouvons critiquer Obama. Sa couleur de peau ne devrait pas être un obstacle à la vérité ou une arme pour promouvoir des mensonges.
In fact, when you look at the black reality, each index of black progress has actually regressed since Obama has been in the White House. Dropout is higher, unemployment is worse, incarceration is higher, police brutality has almost went back to the days of Reconstruction pre-Jim Crow. Mind you, he's done nothing about it.
Encore radical au sein de la communauté noire, cette position est de moins en moins marginale. Après avoir voté pour lui à près de 96% en 2008, 40% seulement des Afro-Américains disent approuver le bilan de leur président. Cause principale de ce désamour, le chômage de près de 10% de la population active et qui touche particulièrement les minorités.
Si le taux de chômage au niveau américain est de 9%, cela veut dire que le taux de chômage des Noirs est 2 ou 3 fois plus important. Regardez autour de vous, il n'y a pas de travail.
He represents change, hope, progress.
End of flashback.
4 jours après les vidéos virales de Jaden Hayden, ce jeune boxeur afro-américain s'étant filmé en train de tabasser des personnes âgées blanches dans une maison de repos pour des raisons racialistes sans que cela n'entraîne la moindre révolte populaire aux USA.
Les vies noires comptent, un cri de ralliement scandé encore et encore. Comme les soirs précédents, des milliers de manifestants ont protesté à Washington et dans de nombreuses villes des États-Unis, bravant le couvre-feu. Dans leur grande majorité, des manifestations sans débordement. 10 jours après la mort de George Floyd, ils ont en partie obtenu gain de cause. Derek Chauvin, le policier ayant étouffé le quadragénaire afro-américain, est désormais accusé de meurtre non prémédité et plus d'homicide involontaire, un chef d'accusation plus lourd passible de 40 ans de prison. Les 3 autres agents présents au moment du drame ont finalement été placés en détention et inculpés de complicité, une annonce du procureur général du Minnesota assortie d'un appel à la patience.
À Minneapolis, un faux cimetière a été mis en scène pour rendre hommage aux victimes des violences policières. Au niveau national, signe que la mobilisation de la rue est en train de prendre à l'échelle politique, les élus démocrates veulent réformer la police et en finir avec le racisme latent qui pourrit les services de maintien de l'ordre. Une loi doit être déposée au Congrès ce lundi. Certains républicains se mobilisent eux aussi, comme Mitt Romney, l'ancien candidat à la Maison-Blanche, qui a pris part à une manifestation à Washington ce dimanche.
Bonjour, voici le mot que nous allons décortiquer aujourd'hui. Hypocrite.
Premier président noir de l'histoire des États-Unis, Barack Obama plaide pour une réforme de la police, mais à 5 mois de la présidentielle, il appelle aussi les militants à ne pas oublier leur rôle d'électeurs.
Hypocrite est d'origine grecque. Ce mot désigne dans cette langue un acteur, celui qui répond, qui interprète, qui joue, qui feint.
J'ai vu, dans des discussions sur Internet, une opposition entre le vote et les manifestants, dit-il, entre la politique, la participation électorale et la désobéissance civile ou l'action directe. Il ne s'agit pas de choisir entre les deux, il faut tout cela pour obtenir un véritable changement.
Flashback.
Un mouvement né d'un hashtag sur Twitter, devenu le cri de ralliement des Afro-Américains, puis de la jeunesse antiraciste. Black Lives Matter, traduction La vie des Noirs compte, dénonce les bavures commises par des policiers blancs sur des hommes noirs. Le mouvement apparaît aux États-Unis en juillet 2013, après l'acquittement de George Zimmerman, le vigile qui, quelques mois plus tôt en Floride, a abattu Trayvon Martin, un jeune de 18 ans non armé.
Sur ces images, on voit Freddie Gray arrêté par la police avant de décéder en garde à vue à Baltimore. À son nom s'ajoutent ceux de Michael Brown, l'adolescent non armé abattu par un policier blanc à Ferguson. Ou encore Eric Garner, étouffant pendant son arrestation à New York. Autant de cas emblématiques des tensions raciales qui minent encore la société américaine.
La condition des Noirs aux États-Unis a relativement peu changé en 8 ans. Il y a encore eu beaucoup de ce qu'on appelle des bavures policières, mais qui sont parfois carrément des exécutions extrajudiciaires, on peut le dire, par certains policiers. Est-ce que pour ça aussi, Barack Obama a déçu la communauté noire?
Oui, aussi, parce que la catastrophe n'est pas juste économique, c'est aussi le fait que ce qui leur pose vraiment problème, c'est que c'est pendant le magistère de Barack Obama qu'on retrouve des mouvements comme Black Lives Matter.
Alors que le premier président noir des États-Unis s'apprête à quitter le bureau ovale, ses militants manifestent à Washington pour défendre les droits des Afro-Américains. Après ces scandales, les émeutes essaiment dans le pays. Le mouvement Black Lives Matter apparaît comme une tache sur le bilan d'Obama.
Ça me met en rogne qu'en 2016, je doive aller à Washington, devant la Maison-Blanche, où habite notre premier président noir, avec mon fils, pour manifester contre un problème que je pensais dépassé.
Il faut tout cela pour obtenir un véritable changement.
He represents change, hope, progress.
End of flashback.
If you're trying to call for the end of unrest, but you don't believe healthcare is a human right, if you're afraid to say Black Lives Matter, if you're too scared to call out police brutality, then you aren't asking for an end of unrest.
Clear that I know that there are protests still happening in major cities across the United States. I'm just not seeing the reporting on it that I had for the first few weeks.
That's right. But they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop. And they're not, this is a movement, I'm telling you. They're not going to stop. And everyone beware, because they're not going to stop. They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that they're not going to let up, and they should not. And we should not.
I just can't. I can't. With folks that are saying, we need to stop this unrest, we need to stop violence.
Now we got a Rolls Royce, bro. Yo, the kids on Rolls Royce. Yo, look at this shit. Oh my God.
Hard work and perseverance in this investigation, as well as Circuit Attorney's Office. He dedicated his life to the city of St. Louis, retired distinguishable service. That is achievable humbly made. During those years, he's touched so many lives as a friend.
Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got it.
This group gathered around 4 hours ago.
This morning, get up, come down here, and what I see, I was not prepared for. I knew it was going to be a disaster, but I didn't know what a disaster looked like until I saw it.
If you didn't feel urgency about these issues until property got damaged, we have to really ask ourselves the question as to why so many people were okay ignoring these problems until a window got broken.
Donald Trump appelle les gouverneurs des États à dominer les rues et à déployer massivement des forces de l'ordre.
If a city or state refuses to take the actions that are necessary to defend the life and property of their residents, then I will deploy the United States military and quickly solve the problem for them.
Et comme pour joindre le geste à la parole, Donald Trump fait disperser par la police les centaines de manifestants rassemblés à l'extérieur de la Maison-Blanche. Avant de se rendre, Bible à la main, devant l'église Saint-John, dégradée lors d'une manifestation.
Mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protesters. Peaceful protest. Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest. Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protesters.
Dans leur grande majorité, des manifestations sans débordement.
This is fine.
I look at this violence and I see lives and communities and the dreams of small businesses being destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
And the opportunity for real progress on the issues of race and police reform and justice being put to the test. Donald Trump looks at this violence and he sees a political lifeline.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Never mind, a Black Lives Matter started under the Obama administration. Do you remember that? Do we have the video of Ferguson? When did that happen? That happened under the Obama administration.
Flashback.
De violentes émeutes ont éclaté hier à Baltimore sur fond de tensions raciales. Le gouverneur de l'État du Maryland a décrété l'état d'urgence et demandé le renfort de plus de 5000 hommes de la garde nationale. 15 policiers ont été blessés et au moins 27 personnes interpellées. À l'origine de ces violences, les funérailles de Freddie Gray, un jeune noir de 25 ans mort dans des circonstances suspectes après son arrestation par la police locale le 19 avril dernier. Le gouverneur de l'État du Maryland. Je n'ai pas pris cette décision à la légère. La garde nationale représente le dernier recours pour restaurer l'ordre, dit-il. Les gens ont le droit de manifester, d'exprimer leur frustration, mais les familles de Baltimore méritent la paix et la sécurité de leur communauté.
Baltimore city families deserve peace and safety in their communities.
Go ahead and play it, please.
You need to disperse immediately or you will be subject to arrest. Do it now.
This is not Donald Trump's America, as Joe Biden is saying.
Broken into and looted.
Tear gas has been thrown, water bottles we witnessed being thrown at police.
If you remember...
This tear gas just dropped right near us. It's going to get very bad here if we don't have masks.
If you remember right, in Portland, they were rioting under Joe Biden and Barack Obama's America as well.
At a White House press conference today with Japan's Prime Minister, President Obama was asked to weigh in not just on Baltimore, but on the nation's other recent racially charged incidents. The president had strong words for both violent protesters and for law enforcement.
There's no excuse for the kind of violence that we saw yesterday. It is counterproductive. When individuals get crowbars and start prying open doors to loot, they're not protesting. They're not making a statement. They're stealing. When they burn down a building, they're committing arson. And they're destroying and undermining businesses and opportunities in their own communities that rob jobs and opportunity from people in that area.
End of flashback.
Problem that bothers me, you says Black Lives Matter. I've worked here part-time. Plus, I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Look what you did to my store. No! Look what you did to my store. Tell them, sister. That's right, because I got their back. Bay Area business owners are still coping with this past weekend's violence. Shoe Mountain, a locally owned business, is rebuilding after looters broke into the store, stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merchandise, as you see here behind me.
This is a Black-owned business, and this is just something that honestly does not make sense. You know, instead of protesting the death of an unarmed Black man, looters took advantage of this situation and took advantage of a Black-owned business. A mob of 40 to 50 people broke into the store, busting through the security bars. You can see people rush directly to the back of the store, stealing several boxes of high-end shoes and even some clothes.
During the chaos in Chicago's South Loop late Saturday night, looters ducking in to take what they can.
I could see the glass being completely just shattered, blown out by some object that they threw through the window.
Owner Adrienne Alvarez and her husband compelled to come to their Orange Theory fitness franchise in the early hours of Sunday morning.
We weren't necessarily trying to defend the business, but we wanted to go clean up. We wanted to let people know we were in support. We wanted to just be there.
But as her husband Ralph was trying to clean up outside, Alvarez says she turned to see him on the ground in front of a large crowd, unconscious.
I started to scream. I tried to wake him. He wouldn't wake back up. And I tried to call for the police. No one was picking up.
Tell me, Black Lives Matter.
À lire dans The Federalist, une étude basée sur une collecte de données menée par ACLED, une organisation à but non lucratif qui suit les conflits dans le monde entier, montre que 95% des émeutes ayant éclaté cet été aux États-Unis sont le fait de Black Lives Matter. Dans leur grande majorité, des manifestations sans débordement.
This is fine.
Might have formed the impression that the rioters you saw on the street were from the left, the ones with BLM tattoos on their necks, all the Joe Biden voters out there. But Michelle Obama wants you to know, don't believe your lying eyes. The former First Lady released a 24-minute video today telling you if you came to the conclusion the left was rioting, you're racist.
Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all. So what the president is doing is once again patently false. It's morally wrong. And yes, it is racist.
Yeah, it's racist. Here in Martha's Vineyard in our $12 million house, things are fine. Edgartown's not on fire. Oak Bluff seems totally peaceful. SoulCycle's open. Like, what's the problem?
Flashback.
That is not a statement. It's people, a handful of people taking advantage of the situation for their own purposes, and they need to be treated as criminals. A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who tore up the place.
End of flashback.
Cher Obama, ce saint homme, Saint Obama, vous savez, qui était auprès duquel le Christ n'était qu'un enfant de cœur, quoi, si j'ose dire. Bah, il a quand même quelques très grosses casseroles aussi. Donc on fait sortir Madame Obama du bois.
Ouais.
Parce que la réalité, c'est que pour la première fois depuis très longtemps, un président américain attire beaucoup les Noirs. Beaucoup, si vous voulez. Il y a beaucoup de Noirs qui trouvent que les démocrates n'arrêtent pas de les trahir et que...
Oui, c'est pour la première fois qu'il y a un mouvement noir pour Trump.
Exactement. Et pour un président républicain.
Pour un président républicain.
Bonjour, nous aimons notre président Trump. Oui, nous l'aimons. USA. C'était super. Les Américains avant les clandestins. C'était génial. C'était une des plus grandes expériences de ma vie. Je ne l'oublierai jamais. C'était merveilleux. C'était magnifique. Absolument. Regardez tous ces oncles Tom, hein, des noirs libres penseurs. Les médias ont pendant longtemps trompé la communauté noire en lui faisant croire que les républicains étaient racistes. Mais lorsque nous étudions notre histoire, nous découvrons que ce sont les républicains qui ont en fait adopté la première loi sur les droits civils et que ce sont les républicains qui ont aboli l'esclavage. Et donc maintenant que nous commençons à apprendre et à penser par nous-mêmes, vous allez voir beaucoup plus de Noirs voter pour les Républicains.
Ils votaient à 90% démocrates.
Ouais. Et alors si par hasard les Noirs se mettaient à voter 78% démocrates, tout l'édifice démocrate s'écroule.
Les médias veulent faire croire aux gens que la communauté noire déteste Donald Trump, mais ce n'est pas nécessairement vrai. Cet événement en est la preuve, et je sais qu'on peut dire qu'il ne représente qu'une petite fraction de la population noire, mais ils ont des membres de leur famille et d'autres personnes, des amis qui n'ont pas pu venir ici et qui sont ravis qu'eux soient ici. Je ne pense pas qu'ils montreront ça, parce qu'ils veulent montrer que oh, Trump est un raciste. Ils ne vont pas montrer ça parce que ça ne fait pas partie de leur narrative. Ils vont vouloir faire comme si de rien n'était et espérer que ça disparaisse. C'est comme ça qu'ils gèrent une situation gênante. Ils vont l'enterrer, ils vont l'ignorer ou la déformer. Parce qu'ils ne veulent pas vraiment traiter avec la vérité. Et le fait est que le message conservateur résonne en Amérique noire. Et vous savez, comme le temps continue de passer, les démocrates vont finir par devoir en tenir compte.
Il y a vraiment un effet générationnel qui pour moi commence à vraiment se clarifier, où les jeunes afro-américains, hispaniques se disent finalement le bilan de Trump, d'un point de vue économique notamment, n'est pas si insatisfaisant que ça. Donc,
et ça fait partie des lignes qui peuvent encore bouger dans les...
Ça peut bouger, mais ça peut même se renforcer en faveur de Trump. Donc aujourd'hui, on estime qu'un tiers des jeunes afro-américains et hispaniques ont un a priori positif du bilan de Trump et sont prêts à voter pour Trump.
Hey David, I just want to stick with you for a second because of Florida. So there is information that the early in-person vote in at least Miami-Dade County, which Hillary Clinton won handily but lost the state, that the Republican turnout is far outpacing the Democratic turnout.
The one that struck my eye is that Miami-Dade is much lower than the rest of the state in terms of a percentage of early voters coming out. And that is a place where Joe Biden has to mount a huge advantage going into Election Day. The other thing you notice if you look deeply into these numbers is that where the fall-off appears to be among African American voters, and that is a concern.
Et donc, il est temps de faire sortir toutes les troupes de réserve, les Madame Obama, les Obama, etc.
They're stoking fears about black and brown Americans, lying about how minorities will destroy the suburbs, whipping up violence and intimidation. And they're pinning it all on what's been an overwhelmingly peaceful movement for racial solidarity. It's true.
Peaceful protest.
Peaceful protesters. The rioting has to stop.
Don Lemon admits that the mostly peaceful protests and defund the police narratives are failing. CNN's Don Lemon advises leftists to stop writing or it could cost the Democrats the presidential election.
Chris, as you know and I know, it's showing up in the polling. It's showing up in focus groups. Riots and the protests have become indistinguishable. Here it is. And again, the only thing that's sticking in focus groups. And that's why I said that this is a blind spot for Democrats.
Research backs it up. Only a tiny fraction of demonstrations have had any violence at all. So what the president is doing is once again patently false. It's morally wrong. And yes, it is racist. But that doesn't mean it won't work. Because this is a difficult time, a confusing time.
Michelle Obama said something very interesting. She said, research shows that these are mostly peaceful protesters. I'm happy they're interested in research. Research also shows that the whole narrative, the whole reason that people are out in the streets, the narrative that the police are killing blacks just because they're black, is bogus. There's a black Harvard professor named Roland Fryer who says, if anything, the police are more hesitant, more reluctant to use deadly force against black people than against white people. There was a study done by researchers at Washington State found the same thing. The government has been looking at this ever since the 90s. There's something called the Police Public Contact Survey. Every 3 years, they ask 60,000 Americans, have you had an interaction with the police? If so, tell me about your interaction. They cannot find any pattern that suggests anything like systemic racism. It is not only wrong, it's also getting people killed. Cops pull back, bad guys know it, and some nutcases are going to feel that the narrative is true and ambush cops the way they did in San Diego, that they did here in L.A. Sheriff deputies were ambushed the way they did in New York, where you are, Sean. Officers Lou and Ramos were ambushed and killed. Officers in Baton Rouge, officers in Dallas, all because of this phony narrative pushed by people like Michelle Obama, Barack Obama, and the Democrats. It's getting people killed.
Michelle Obama today, she destroyed whatever good was left of Obama's legacy, Barack Obama's legacy today with this video. It's breathtaking because it's so polar opposite from the Barack Obama that we saw when he was running for election in 2008. Right. And I remember seeing that Barack Obama who was asked, baited once to say, if you do not win this election, Senator, do you think it's because America isn't ready? The implication being that America was not ready yet for a black president. I remember that.
I remember when he was asked that. Yes.
And do you remember what he said, Tucker? Yes. He said, you know what? If I don't win, no. It's because I failed to deliver on a vision and a promise that Americans could believe in. It was an incredibly courageous response.
It was. I agree with that.
I believe won him the election because he believed in America, and he basically said to Americans that day, even if I don't win, I still believe in America. It's not because of the color of my skin. Michelle Obama did the exact opposite. She looked at America in a 25-minute video and she said to Americans, if you don't vote the way that I tell you to vote, it's because you're backwards, it's because you're wrong. It's because this country is inherently wrong and racist. I can think of no greater way to completely destroy everything that Barack Obama accomplished in 2008, and it's actually quite sad.
You know, Sean, this really gets me upset because they have doubled down on making a deal with the devil. Antifa and Black Lives Matter. Respectfully, the First Lady lied in that video because the protests, everyone in this country can see the chaos and the burning in these democratic cities. And she wants us to disbelieve what we can see. And that very eloquent approach, as if she really cares, she lives in a very wealthy area. The reason why Donald Trump got elected is because this country rejected the Obama administration. And that is why we're here today. And as far as calling Donald Trump a racist, shame on you, Michelle Obama. Tell us what Obama did. Donald Trump has given positive reform for Black America, historical Black colleges, low unemployment rate, First Step Act. She will call him a racist and not tout what Obama did because he did nothing for black people. And just because she is black, that doesn't give her credibility. She lost credibility today, Sean, by pressing that video.
I have a question. And when people hear these lies and crazy conspiracies repeated over and over and over again, they don't know what to think. With everything going on in their lives, they don't have time to fact-check falsehoods being spread throughout the internet. And even reasonable people might get scared. And the one thing this president is really, really good at is using fear and confusion and spreading lies to win.
The war is a total disaster. It's a catastrophe, nothing less. It is such a shame that this took place. Saddam Hussein, whether they like him or didn't like him, he hated terrorists. He'd shoot and kill terrorists. When terrorists came into this country, which he did control and he did dominate, he would kill terrorists. Now it's a breeding ground for terrorists.
Well, President Trump has reiterated his election push for law and order, claiming to be loved by soldiers. In a White House briefing, the president said he felt Pentagon seniors would not have felt the same way because of his success at preventing wars.
I'm not saying the military is in love with me. The soldiers are. The top people in the Pentagon probably aren't, because they want to do nothing but fight wars so that all of those wonderful companies that make the bombs and make the planes and make everything else stay happy.
So my name is Billy Prempeh. I'm from Paterson, New Jersey. I've lived in Paterson for over 30 years of my life. I'm a United States Air Force veteran, first-generation American. Parents, they migrated to this country from Ghana, West Africa. And at the time, I was a big-time Barack Obama supporter. You know,
Wow.
big-time Barack Obama supporter. I thought he was going to do a lot of great things for this country. You know, my parents coming here and seeing, you know, I never thought we'd ever see an African-American president ever. Didn't end up finishing my full term while I was in the Air Force. And the reason being is because of how things went when Barack Obama decided to get involved with Libya. You know, the reason why I don't support Barack Obama anymore is we have the first black president, and he has done more for slavery than anybody else in history. Because right now in Libya, well, I'm pretty sure it's still going on right now. In Libya, they have these open-air slave markets where they're going around collecting people from my parents' country, Ghana. They're kidnapping people all across the country and selling them off into slavery. And that would have never happened, whether you like Gaddafi or not. It would have never happened if he was still alive.